Good morning. Welcome to day zero. We'll be starting day one next Monday at 7:30 a.m. And what I'd like to do today is just introduce the overall sense of the course, and then we're going to dive right in to a few different practices to give us all a sense of what an embodied practice might be like. And there's obviously many, many ways to go about that. So I'm going to just take a minute or two and just speak to the 49-day program as people come in, because there's probably a few people still going to come in a bit late because it is Monday morning and daylight savings has probably thrown us all off a little bit for how you like to wake up. So for those of you who are perhaps new to what I'm doing, my name is Dr. Michael Smith. I've been engaged in Qigong meditation martial arts for about 45 years now. And it's just been one of those inherent passions in my life to discover what we can experience with our embodied lives in the sense of stillness, movement, play, as well as, I suppose, a similar relationship with what happens on the inside of our experience when we're engaged in any aspect of life, but especially in the uh, perhaps arena or terrain of meditation. So having that time to practice and learn and study and find teachers and try different things and explore at some points in my life a more monastic relationship with these practices. I guess I have a lot of uh, curiosity about how to communicate these things with people. And having a background in traditional Chinese medicine and other aspects of clinical practice, I've always been a big proponent of including movement, embodiment, awareness, mindfulness, meditation, qigong, other aspects of healing to help support my patients in their journeys. It's very easy in modern life to just stay on the treadmill of being industrially busy, chasing the money, spending the money, keeping up on things. And that disorients us in a way, I believe, given most of our evolution as a species, where most of our life was more collaborative and, being in nature without a cell phone for the last couple of million years. Most of our ancestors spent a lot of time waiting in a very tangibly connected, very appreciative, perhaps if you're, waiting while you're fishing or something, also very hopeful and perhaps a more wonder-filled relationship with life. So I've become very passionate about doing my best to help people rekindle that in any way that they can. Many years ago, and maybe you have seen the video I put up a while ago about my first experience with doing something like this. It was profoundly life-changing for me. First, because when I did it as a hermit, so I had zero contact with people and was engaged in several hours a day of practice. And that isn't me saying that makes me in some way better or something. That's me thumping my chest. It's more me just expressing the wonder and gratitude and I suppose a sense of momentum, having had that experience of spending a few months just in silence in practice, and how that allowed me in a way, and would allow anyone in a way, an opportunity to, especially if you spend enough time by yourself without an audience, let's say, or without someone to, um, I guess, compare yourself with. The way we experience practice when there's no audience and when there's no external point makes it as profoundly internal and meaningful and perhaps similar to the way people have had these practices throughout history. Nowadays everything, here we are all online. So not that that's in any way negative. It just changes the way we approach the experience and sometimes what things turn out to mean to us. So we'll begin in just a minute, just giving people another minute to come in. And if you haven't checked out the material on the course, we're going to be meeting every morning at 7:30 a.m. throughout the work week, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. on Saturdays, and I think 10 a.m. on Sundays, so that at least we can sleep in a little bit. And during that 7 weeks, We're going to go through a kind of cycle of interactions and practices that build on each other, but also have what I like to think of as kind of a fractal theme. So each day of the week, Monday through Sunday, we'll have kind of a theme to the day, which will give our practices perhaps a specific quality or nature or opportunity. And then each week will also have its own little story or theme. And each week of the course, we're going to have a different co-mentor come in and share their experience, their particular practices, what they have found the most beneficial in the part of this endeavor that they're the most engaged in. Every Friday, Mira my partner, is going to be teaching a yoga class on specifically each of the chakras, so one chakra for each week, which is a pretty unique thing to do for people who are not deeply engaged in that part of embodied practice. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's meant to be more of a celebration of what this opportunity is in modern life to connect and to explore and to see where, I suppose, in the modern context, how deep the rabbit hole goes with these things. So hopefully that gives us some time for people to come in, and thank you all this morning for joining me. And we're gonna play a little bit. So I sometimes tell this story, and it's a very short story, when I try and encourage people to explore meditation, and that could be any kind of meditation. There's many, many ways to go about it. And the thing that I often share with people is that although I've been practicing for a very long time, I think I could only really say for sure that there's one thing you're going to get from meditation. Now, obviously, when I say that, I'm trying to be a little bit funny and uh, to say diminish the way that we can sometimes uh, um, focus on what could be, say if it's enlightenment or some other thing like that, what could be possible. So it's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke about meditation in that if there's really only one thing that, for myself anyway, I could offer people about meditation, it's meant to bring us back down to right now, to what this practice is like and what would happen if we were, very much engaged in that. So just give me one sec. I just need to make sure something is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So the one thing that I would often say I can pretty much guarantee you'll get from meditation is the ability to put your attention where you choose it to be. And that might seem like a really simple thing to say, but when you consider how easily distracted modern life can be, how much you could say the left brain really wants us to stay in the if then process of life instead of residing more in the felt sense is of life. So in that playful way, by saying, there's really only one thing you're going to get from meditation, which is choosing where your attention goes, is also basically saying you could profoundly change the nature of your life and the course of your life because now you can steer consciousness like you can steer your car. And that will change everything in ways that are almost undescribable. So I'm going to play a few little games with that just to give us a sense to explore that. So it's very likely that all of us are sitting in a room of some kind. If you're lucky, perhaps you're sitting outside. But if you are sitting in a room, what I would encourage you to do for a moment, if you choose, is to close your eyes and pretend for a moment, if you don't mind pretending, that you're some kind of animal like a bat, and that you could use some sense within your being to produce a little sound, like a little beep or something. And you don't need to make the sound, but the idea would be to do that kind of echolocation that bats would do, is to see if you can occupy the space of the room you're in with your eyes closed, and imagine that if you're to make a sound, a little beep or something, that's a wall, that's that wall, that's the fireplace right there, because I live in a place in the bush where you need a fireplace. That's the bookshelf, that's the window, that's the floor, that's the ceiling. And to see if we were doing the thing that bats do, to see if we can actually resonate with the sounds within the scape of the room you're in, even maybe hearing my voice, and to see if that can help you feel the shape of the room around you. And just take a moment and see if you can feel the space around you, to occupy that space with your attention, with your awareness, with the part of you that's kind of like antennas, that's reaching out and just feeling the shape of the space around you. Now, feel free to make a little noise as if that helps you know, the mind play with imagery. And this is meant to be a bit playful. Perhaps we could think of clapping our hands, snapping our finger, anything that allows us to imagine the sound waves going outwards, bouncing off of the walls, and coming back in. Now, interesting thing about that opportunity is that it's a kind of attention that's going in many directions at once, and in a way, allowing us to interact with space around us, walls around us, ceilings and floors around us. And in one way of saying, it really depends on where your attention goes. Now we're learning to experience our attention in a way where we're holding a space, and in a way creating a sense of connection with our environment. And it's just a way of coming into your practice. So if you're new to meditation, or you've been meditating for a while, and you appreciate the novelty of sitting into your practice in perhaps a new way every once in a while, which can be something that just shifts the momentum and the sort of status quo of something that we might do every day. But it also helps train the mind to hold perception and interaction, and in a way a tangible relationship with things that are spatial. And I think obviously when we think of evolutionary time and human beings, that peripheral awareness, being able to sense into our environment, is very, very necessary, because one, it would help you hear big animals coming towards you, or friends coming to see you, or things like that. But also it allows us to begin the process of being relaxed. It's just like anything else. Imagine that if you had kids and your kids are playing and maybe they're off doing something else, and you've decided to maybe take a quick 5-minute meditation. You have to check, oh, the kids are playing in the basement. Okay, good. And then we can come in. So in a way, it's just a natural step to check outwards before we come into stillness. So now, given that we're, having the superpower of bats in a way, what if we were to do the same thing on the inside of our body? Take a moment and imagine a sound, or a kind of scan, and just see if you can feel the inner space of your body, the shape of your skeleton, the shape of your head, what it's like to, move your awareness through your throat and neck, through your chest and rib cage, how your arms feel, hopefully, at rest at your sides, how your belly and diaphragm feel, how your posture is balanced in some way over the center of gravity of your body, and how alignment helps us become still, what your legs feel like, perhaps if your feet are on the floor, what the connection with the floor is like. And maybe just moving inwards and just checking in with your viscera, your organs, your guts, your bones, and just almost like saying hi to the inside residents of our being. And notice here we are choosing where our attention goes, choosing to do it in a way that allows us to sense into sensation, sense into feeling, sense into our well-being, sense into our posture. And that's a profoundly effective tool at coming inwards. So again, if you're new to meditation, that could be a really great start. Find a place to sit, check in with the environment around you, check in with the environment and the quality of state and sensation within you, and then coming in to what you want to do with your attention next. So when we think of embodied practice, it's similar to meditation in the sense that we might be still, we might be focusing on our breath, we might be just aware of awareness, we might be aware that we're choosing not to follow the monkey mind that's always telling stories. Yeah, everyone's got to have a job, and the monkey mind is very good at that job. Sometimes it's challenging, especially today, because we have so much more stimulation happening. It's challenging not to go with, well, what is that monkey mind going to do? What is the anticipation? What is the if then of what the mind is producing as a story? And that's the dilemma of modern life with all of our devices and phones is we're always in that anticipatory dopamine, if then place. So I'm going to share a couple of tricks or techniques that can be very helpful. The first is, and I think most of us have tried this at some point in our life, is imagine, if you will, I'm holding my hand out, and you can hold your hand out anywhere you want if you choose, is to imagine that you're balancing a broom upside down on your hand. And if you were to do that just for a moment right now, so there's the broom handle, there's the top of the broom. And what would it be like to, if you've ever done it, it's a little bit kind of like a circus juggling thing. Because if you're perfectly still, even the air currents in the room will knock the broom over at some point. So we have to be constantly interacting through the center of the handle of the broom, reaching through the tip or all the bristles of the broom constantly in time. And we could decide that as we breathe in, we're just going to focus mostly on the upward part of that relationship. And as we exhale, we're just going to catch the broom very slowly by focusing on that downward feeling of balancing that broom handle. So we inhale, reaching through upwards. Oh, almost dropped it. There we go. And exhaling, kind of receding downwards, finding other ways. And it's interesting how both of those interactions with the broom can help you balance the broom. But you have to choose just the right one at the right time. So let's do that for another breath or two. Inhale, balancing the broom. And I like to play with it, like I'm actually like, oh, just about losing it. There it is, coming towards stillness, towards stillness. And then I'm exhaling, sinking down, catching it towards stillness. So this is an example in one sense of an embodied practice, because now the quality of my interaction, the ability to focus my attention, and if I actually had a broom in my hand, or I really like to play with imagination, so I'm very engaged in the imagination of the broom. Notice the mind doesn't really have time for stories because we're focused on interaction. Now, interaction could be any number of things. We're going to play with a few things today. But a funny thing about the word stillness is it ends in ness, right? You can't just hold the broom still, at least not in that way. So we have to keep approaching stillness, which means you'll never get there completely, but you'll always be getting closer unless something distracts you, and then you're not in stillness, and then you're coming closer. So that's the broom handle, and it's quite useful. Again, especially if you're new at meditation, sit down, do the bat thing, check the space, hold that space. Maybe come into sacred space if you have a relationship with that context. Do the same thing on the inside of the body. How do I feel in all of those places? How do I place all those places in a good alignment, which is almost the same as holding up a broom. So now I can come into my embodiment as if my spine is the broom, and I'll never get 100%, complete stillness, but I'll get so close that it'll be hard to tell. And now I'm in that stillness, in that balance, in that embodied perception. So another fun thing we can do with embodied practice, again, just as an example, is to imagine that, here we are sitting in our somewhat stillness, but in our stillness, we also, for some reason, have to reach for a light switch in the dark. So We don't want to lean too far because we might fall over. We don't want to lean too far because we are attending to this central alignment, balance, and stillness. But what's it like to reach for that light switch in the dark? Now, keep your eyes closed because it's dark, and you're trying to feel the light switch. Where did I leave that light switch? And maybe we finally find it, and then we're going to turn it on or off, or lock us on because it's a dark room. And then you could say things have been illuminated because the light is on. And that's an interesting thing to do. And if you haven't had that experience, I would encourage you to try that. Turn the lights off, take a couple of steps, in some random direction, maybe turn around a couple of times, and then actually walk around without sight to focus your attention on maintaining your balance so you don't trip over your cat or your furniture, and to find the wall and to find the switch, and then to reach toward the switch and have that moment of like, now I can turn the light on. And very much in a way, that's what it's like to come into a fully tangible, embodied quality of breathing. So now the spine is the broom, always finding that just right in the middle, and the breath and the diaphragm, or that light switch, because we're always reaching towards just that moment of almost intimate, sensual inhale, intimate, sensual, releasing exhale. Just like we reach for our light switch in the dark, we reach with our diaphragm in a way, with grace, with ease, with beauty, with surrender, with vulnerability, sometimes with courage, and sometimes with intensity, depending on the breathing we're doing, to come into the now, to come into that illuminating moment of, yep, it's just this second, this second, this second, this tangible moment, this balancing broomstick, this reaching for that illumination of now. And it's always going to come and go, come and go. That's why it's called meditation. um, and I hope those have given you a sense of what an embodied a relaxation practice or meditation practice would be, just sitting still. Excuse me. So as we're playing in that place, spine is the broomstick, diaphragm is that reaching quality, stillness and that little smile of right here in the body, in the breath, in the now. There's a lot you can do and experience, and you could say interact with very presently with your breath. I think the last time I did any serious research, there was over 100 unique, specific kinds of breath work that existed in the world. So, many, many places to explore and play. So today, what I'm going to encourage us to play with is, in English, we would call it sensual breath work, which can imply something perhaps around interacting with someone and, caressing and things like that, in the way we often mean sensual. But it's also something that we're always doing with our own experience. And again, it's tangible. It's happening right now, just like your broom handle spine, just like your light switch of being very aware of how you reach into breath with the breathing muscles. Now we're going to play a little bit with what it's like to hold our awareness at different places in the body as we're breathing. So how's that broomstick? That feels just right. How's that diaphragm? Definitely in the body, in the breath. So now if you can, just bring your awareness to the bridge of your nose as you're breathing through your nose. And as you exhale, just feel the air passing your nose. I'm lucky I got a big nose, so I've got lots of sensual space to feel. And sometimes we want to just breathe with a little bit more energy, a little bit more activation of the diaphragm. just so we can really feel the breath moving past our nose. Then just feel the breath as it's passing your nose, now past the back of your throat. And notice that as you're breathing, and we call this the lid. So we think of the top of the rib cage, the weight of your arms and shoulders sitting like a lid on the chest. As we're breathing in, notice when you can feel the air filling your body, and then the lid feeling like it wants to come up just a little bit. So you can feel the nose, the throat, breathe in all the way. As soon as you feel that little bit of up in your shoulders, just stay relaxed. And as you breathe out, let your shoulders sink and your breath come all the way out. Now as we breathe in again, feel the nose, throat. Now feel your whole body like it's a balloon, and just feel the balloon filling. And the lid comes up, the shoulders come up, shoulders come down, and the balloon empties itself all the way out, all the way out. No force, just feeling the elastic balloon of the body. Then feel the balloon, feel the nose, throat. Till the lid comes up just a tiny bit, and then settle the lid and let that downward feeling help us empty the balloon, let the balloon empty itself. How's that broom handle? Now, in a way, that might seem like a lot to do, but those are things that are all, you could say, inherently necessary to sit more or less still, breathe more or less deep, and choose where your attention goes by keeping it in the body, in the posture, in the breath, in the membranes of breathing. And this is sort of the game, at least I found as a meditation teacher, when I'm sharing meditation with people. It's at first a game of giving each of us enough things to bring our awareness to, whatever that number of things might be, so that there isn't much room in the space of awareness at the beginning for the usual kind of discourse to begin. And after a few minutes, we get calm enough in the sense of almost like moving into a nap, little bit of a rest state. And then we're not in that busy, slightly cortisol-driven, stressy place. We're in that calm, resting kind of nap place. And that often lets the talking mind just sort of, I think of it as like a puppy chewing on something in the corner. And as long as it has something to chew on, like all of these things like broomsticks and light switches and balloons and lids and places to bring our attention to with our breath, the more we can become familiar with the space, the calm, the sense, the appreciation of, perhaps for a lot of us, the peace, the break, the space of not just being in the busy mind. And after a while, we're just naturally going to forget that we were a broom handle and we were reaching for a light switch, to use those analogies that sort of have a consequence. If you can't balance the broom, it'll fall over. If you can't reach for the light switch, you're not going to come into the present moment in quite the same way. So it shows us through experience the value of being able to find a bit of poise, a bit of presence, a bit of awareness of sensation. And then depending on perhaps how our lives are going, we might choose to come into a quality of profound patience and appreciation. Now, when there's a word in Chinese, 赞, and it means that the kind of appreciation we have for someone that we have a crush on, or a piece of art, or something beautiful, or perhaps even the taste of something delicious. And it really means to just appreciate. So if we can get all of those parts of our practice going, and after a few minutes, We can reside in that space, in that sensation, and we can just appreciate life, ourselves, our good human hearts, the perhaps the challenges we have in our lives, and how we're just going to lean just gently towards whatever solutions we may need to find. And it isn't about the solutions, it's about the appreciation of what it's like to be very present and to hold a sense of meaning about the quality of each moment of our lives. Okay, so we're going to do some standing practice in a moment, but I want to share something because throughout the 49 days, we're going to have a pattern, a very quick howdy, little review. Check in with another attribute of our meditation practice, check in with another attribute or possible interaction with our breath work. And then we're going to speak a little bit about something that might be inspiring or helpful, sometimes humorous, sometimes, ancient traditional wisdom. And then we're going to stand up and do our practice. So we're going to have a very short standing practice in a moment. But first, I want to share with you just a little what I would think of as a good tidbit uh, of how to approach decision making and challenges that we face. And this is about the experience and the wisdom of equanimity. So very quickly, imagine that you're in your life, as we often are, and there's a fork in the proverbial road. And I'm going to use the context, excuse me, of intimate relationship. And if we've all been in those, hopefully, we've all probably been uh, in the experience where we have a sense that for whatever reason, that intimate relationship might need to separate. So here we are at this fork in the road. Do we make the changes, choices, distinctions, and decisions to stay in the relationship that we're in, or to decide that it might be, for any number of reasons, better or necessary to move in that other direction? So the way we come into equanimity, and I would encourage you to play with this a few times because it's quite potent. If I was to stay in that, relationship in that way, and I use my mind, if then, yep, that's why I'm doing this. These are the good days, these are the bad days, but it's, called the math of life says it's worth it to stay and to focus on the good parts and to see if we can resolve any imbalances. So how does that feel to make that decision? That's the best possible thing. This is going to make the most sense. It's going to feel the best. It's going to, keep our lives connected in that way. It holds a kind of value and meaning. So we can attend to that kind of awareness. Yes, this would be a really good decision. Yes, I can see how that's going to maintain a certain, say a quality of happiness and love. Okay, good decision. Now, when I think of it that way, this one feels like, oh, that's not a good decision. This would be bad. I would feel sad. I would be alone. It would hurt. And those things, of course, would be true in a way. In a way. But I can also choose to go like this. What if I decide that this other decision is the one that is necessary because there's perhaps too much friction or not enough connection or this or that is happening? Excuse me. And I'm now playing out the well, it's gonna be sad and maybe lonely for a while, but there's reasons why this might turn out to be also, a good decision. And I could think maybe of, the things that would change and the things that would be more positive or negative. But what I want to do in the sense of equanimity is see if I can actually appreciate in the deepest, most meaningful, emotionally connected way, the value and meaning of moving in that direction, and perhaps the opportunities that would be different. And say we're speaking of meditation, well, I'll be able to meditate more often or something. And now I can hold the space and the experience of that would be the really best decision in those ways. And when I can hold those two things, the fork in the road, the if this, the if that, perhaps the stress of that, and then take the moment and, even if you're journaling, pros and cons of this, pros and cons of that, and focus on the pros, focus on the good, focus on the value and the meaning. And notice that even if you're not going to make that decision, anytime that decision comes up and like, oh, I'm not having a happy day in my partnership, what if this isn't a good idea? We can focus on the value and meaning in the sense of the beauty of life, of choosing this road, and the value and meaning and beauty of life if I choose this road. And then I have a life with all paths leading to the beauty and meaning and value. And when I say value, I don't mean like cha-ching value, or I'm, winning at some high school comparison, war. It's value in the sense of our truth, that we're living a life that we are engaged in, invested in, and building towards something that resonates with our sense of truth. So there's an interesting, I would think, practical way of exploring some wisdom to bring that opportunity of equanimity and meaning into life, no matter which way the road needs to go. And that affords us a profound sense of warmth and love and appreciation and respect and freedom. So when we decide to commit perhaps some part of our lives to meditation, there isn't a lot to worry about, think about, decide about, because we can hold a very wise and skillful and well appreciated and thought out sense of equanimity about the decisions that we face. And when we don't have big consequential decisions floating in the mind, we can reside in the heart. We can reside in the sensual, appreciative embodiment of the now. It's very easy to find that broomstick. It's very easy to reach in to where the illumination begins and just feel breathing. Okay, so I'm going to move the little screen that I'm using right now a few feet, and then I'm going to move my little chair, and then we're going to do just a few minutes of some fun Qigong practice, and let's see what that's like. Just give me a moment. So if you're new to Qigong, most of it happens standing with your feet about shoulder width apart, knees bent so your knees are moving towards your toes. Or if you were, skiing in the mountains, your knees would be going towards the tip of your skis. So we just want to have that feeling in the body. And we're just going to go through a few fun little gestures. So if we're to inhale, hands float up. Exhale, hands float down just to shoulder height. And inhale, hands float up. Your hands are going to feel like they're following your breath as you inhale into the body. And we're going to just let the breath settle as the hands settle. Then we're going to exhale, reaching down gently, and see if we can come into our sense of sacred purpose. And we're going to inhale, and like our hands are little antennas, they're going to float out and just connect to everything around us as we open the front of our body. Inhale. Exhale. Just, symbolically receiving all the good things in our life. Inhale, following the breath. Receiving that. As your hands come into the space of the body, just feeling that gratitude. Exhaling, coming into the body a bit warrior-like, and feeling into that sacred purpose. Inhaling, connecting to everything around it. Exhaling into stillness, gratitude, intention, appreciation, connection. Once more. It's nice to have a little smile on your faces. Yeah, that one. Inhale. Receiving with gratitude, coming into our purpose. Take that alignment with love. Inhaling, getting that connection with everything. A lack of separation. Now we're going to expand our body and our energy like we're the sun. And then we're going to settle, like the sun going over the horizon. Expanding like the sun. And then just settling over the horizon. That in time with your breath as you inhale. Your arms fall, palms turning over as you exhale. Now we're going to keep the same movements going. We're just going to move as if we're kelp in the ocean. There's no way to do it right, so there's no way to do it wrong. And if we play with this enough, this is one of my favorite things, you start noticing that the movements aren't something we're doing, movements are something the ocean is doing. Okay, we'll just do a couple more. Part of this is just to give people a sense of what it's like. And also, it's also just to make sure we're all feeling like we have a good sense of our joints and mobility. So let's just turn our body left and right. And because we want to be aware of not just the outside of the movement, we want to feel the inside of the movement. Imagine your belly button has a little flashlight, and you're pointing that flashlight left and right. You heard a mouse and you're trying to see where the mouse is or something. So as we move the belly button left and right, notice that we're actually moving from the inside of our hips. So as you move from the inside of your hips, it's really important that your knees stay pointing towards the tip of your skis. So if we can do all of that, turn the belly left and right, keep the knees to our toes, now we can swing our arms a little bit. And if you feel like you want to go faster, Sunday morning, you want to feel invigorated, go faster, you can pat the body. Or if you want to go slower and feel like your arms are like whiskers, then you can do that. So do this anytime. You spend a lot of time during the day sitting in a chair, you can get up, bend your knees, turn your belly button flashlight left and right. Take the time to make sure you can loosen up the cobwebs in your body. Maybe throw in some shoulder rolls or something and play with this swinging left and right. Move fast, move slow, pat the body or not. Up to you. Now we're going to go with this. And we're going to put one hand behind the back. And with the other hand, imagine you're holding onto a frisbee. And then we're going to turn with our whole body and pretend we're in slow motion, throwing that frisbee as far as we can into the sky. Off you go. And then we're going to catch the frisbee as it comes back by turning our hand around like this and reaching out like this. We throw the frisbee, spiral, catch another frisbee, and come back. And then we're going to flip the frisbee over and spin it off in that direction. Come back, swing the arms. Place the other arm behind your back. Take a frisbee, slow motion, throw it all the way to the end of the universe, and spiral through the body, reaching to catch another frisbee, turning, flipping it over, and then swinging it off our fingers this way. Come back, swing. Put that hand behind the back, grab a frisbee, throw it. Now this is actually the form is called plucking stars. So spin out this, I don't think of throwing the frisbee, and then we reach and feel like we're plucking some stars, turning the body back, appreciating the beauty of the stars that are in our hand, And we're going to offer the stars to the moon. Swing our arms. Comes behind. Turn. Gracefully spiral to reach into the sky. Pluck some stars. Look how beautiful. And with all things beautiful, it's even more beautiful to give them to someone else, so we can give them to the moon. Let's just do that once more on each side. Spiral through the body. You can sniff the stars. Mm. Most important thing with Qigong is to be smiling, a bit happy, a bit playful, and allowed to be a little bit silly. Because life sometimes is the opposite of silly. Okay, so now we're going to do one little short qigong, and it's a bit invigorating. We're going to do it quite carefully, but because it's Monday morning, and just in case we want to make sure we've got our wiggle on and ready for the week, this is kind of a funny choice now that I think about it. So this is called washing and hanging laundry. So when I think about someone giving me a bunch of laundry, then I'm going to turn the laundry down into a bucket. Now you can lean over a little bit if you want, depending on your back and your neck and where your body might be stiff. Or you can squat down and kind of, kind of wiggle like that a little bit. So it's up to you if you want to squat down or if you want to lean down or if you want to pretend the laundry's on a table. As long as you're using your whole body to make big round circles, and as if your body, if you can see them, I'm kind of pretending my body has no bones. So I'm just moving that way. Maybe I'll bend my legs a bit. Maybe I'll bend over a bit. But always be careful. But now I have this laundry in a bucket, and I've washed it, and I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to use a little bit of muscle tone and tension to imitate what it'd be like to pick up a bunch of really wet laundry. I'm going to turn to the side, pick it up. Oh. Monday mornings are hard. I'm going to throw the laundry up and over the laundry line. And I'm going to hang my hands on the laundry line, and I'm going to pretend that I'm actually hanging from above as I bend my legs, stretch out my arms like I'm hanging from above. We build the ball that way. And then I'm going to bring the laundry back down. And then I'm going to wash it up and down the little washboard that I imagine is leaning against my leg. Just do that 3 times. And once again, the laundry up, hang it over, hang off with the laundry line, loosen the body up. And let's let that hang there where it is. I'll just give us another handful of laundry. Now we're going to stir it the other way. You can go as low, be as vigorous, or be as gentle as you want. Pick that wet laundry up. Hang. Loosen the body. That laundry again. Turn to the side. More. Up. Hang the laundry. Hang the body. Open the joints and leave that there and come back. So just a fun little way to use our imagination to open our joints. So close up the practice and split up and around. Imagine your hands are wrapping around the moon, so you can hang from the moon, open your ankles, your knees, your hips, over your pelvis. Hands come down, hanging from the top of your head. As you breathe out, feel the lid sinking, balloon emptying, body coming to stillness once more. Down, find your stillness, find your center, find your structure, and slow down. I'm just going to reach up. Imagine we're reaching into the Milky Way, gathering some stardust. And it's just going to come down, just bathe, cleanse, and rejuvenate your body and your heart and your being so that you're ready to go off and pounce at making the best of your Monday and maybe the rest of your week. And then I'm just going to move things back forward and see if anyone has any questions.